Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about a major development in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The explosive attack that severed a key Russian supply route to Crimea. This is not just another headline. It is a striking example of how infrastructure, logistics, and strategy intersect on the battlefield. We're going to go through what happened, why it happened, how both sides responded, and what the consequences might be for the war moving forward. Earlier this year, a Ukrainian operation targeted the Kerch Bridge, also called the Crimean Bridge, which connects mainland Russia to the annexed Crimean Peninsula. This bridge is more than just a piece of engineering. It's the lifeline for Russian military and civilian movement into Crimea. The attack reportedly involved underwater explosives that damaged several key support pillars beneath the bridge. Ukrainian authorities said the explosives were planted over several months, demonstrating a level of planning and patience that underlines the strategic importance of this operation. The Kerch Bridge is roughly 19 kilometers long, carrying both road and rail traffic. It was completed by Russia in 2018 after the annexation of Crimea, and it has always been a symbol of Russia's control over the region. Militarily, it is the main artery for moving troops, equipment, and supplies into southern Ukraine through Crimea. Hitting it disrupts not just the movement of people, but the very logistics that sustain military operations. The fact that the operation targeted the bridge underwater is significant. It shows a sophisticated understanding of vulnerabilities and an ability to execute a complex attack. This attack is actually the third major Ukrainian strike on the Kerch Bridge. Previous attacks in 2022 and 2023 targeted the bridge above water using a truck bomb and sea drones. This time, the method was different. Underwater explosives targeting the bridge's foundations. By focusing on the structural supports, Ukraine was aiming for maximum impact without necessarily destroying the bridge completely. Even partial damage can reduce capacity, slow logistics, and force Russia to invest resources in repairs and protective measures. Strategically, this strike sends multiple messages. First, it demonstrates Ukraine's capability to reach high-value infrastructure deep inside territory controlled by Russia. It signals that Russian supply lines are vulnerable and that Ukraine can act in a calculated, precise manner. Second, it imposes real costs on Russia. Any damage to the bridge delays military operations, forces diversion of resources, and increases the complexity of logistics planning. Even if the bridge remains operational, the uncertainty created by the attack itself is a form of strategic pressure. On the Russian side, officials attempted to downplay the severity of the damage. State media suggested that the bridge was functioning normally and that traffic had resumed quickly. However, independent assessments indicate that the structural supports were indeed compromised. The bridge's operator confirmed that traffic was halted temporarily on the morning of the attack, though operations were restored later. These conflicting narratives highlight the importance of information warfare in this conflict. Ukraine wants to show capability, while Russia wants to project control and stability. From a tactical standpoint, the damage to the bridge has immediate implications. A compromised bridge can slow or reduce the flow of troops and supplies into Crimea and southern Ukraine. It forces Russia to consider alternative routes, which may be longer, riskier, or more resource-intensive. In military logistics, delays and bottlenecks can have a cascading effect, affecting everything from ammunition supply to troop rotations. This is why the Kerch Bridge has been considered a strategic target from the beginning. there is also a symbolic dimension. The bridge represents more than just a route for vehicles and trains. It symbolizes Russia's assertion of sovereignty over Crimea. By attacking it, Ukraine is challenging not only the physical infrastructure, but also the narrative of control that Russia seeks to maintain. Infrastructure attacks like this are psychologically impactful because they show that even heavily guarded, high-profile structures are not beyond reach. The implications of this strike go beyond the bridge itself. Logistically, Russia now faces a complex challenge. If the bridge is partially damaged, alternative routes will need to be used, such as sea transport or longer land routes through less secure areas. Each of these alternatives comes with increased costs and risks. Militarily, the disruption may slow down resupply, reinforcement, and rotation of troops, potentially affecting operational plans in southern Ukraine. Even a temporary disruption can have outsized effects in a high-tempo conflict where timing is critical. For Ukraine, the strike is both a tactical and strategic achievement. It demonstrates their ability to conduct complex operations, disrupt enemy logistics, and challenge the narrative of Russian control. The careful planning involved also suggests that Ukraine is prioritizing long-term impact over immediate, visible destruction. By targeting the underwater supports, they maximize the difficulty of repairs and create uncertainty that forces Russia to allocate additional resources for reinforcement and monitoring. The timing of the attack is also significant. It occurred early in the morning, presumably to reduce the risk of casualties and maximize the element of surprise. Covert operations like this require precise intelligence, detailed reconnaissance, and careful execution. The fact that the operation was successful indicates a high level of coordination and planning. It also demonstrates Ukraine's continued capability to strike at strategic infrastructure, which may influence Russian defensive planning in the future. Beyond the immediate tactical effects, this attack highlights broader strategic trends in the conflict. Infrastructure is increasingly becoming a key battleground. Control of supply lines, energy networks, and transport links is just as important as holding territory. Ukraine's ability to disrupt these links without engaging directly in frontline battles shows the evolution of their approach to the conflict. Meanwhile, Russia must contend with the vulnerability of critical infrastructure and the constant need to protect supply routes from targeted attacks. There are also significant geopolitical implications. Allies of Ukraine may view this as evidence of Ukraine's effectiveness in high-value operations, which could influence decisions about military aid, intelligence support, and long-term strategic planning. Conversely, Russia faces increased pressure to defend and repair key infrastructure, which may affect domestic politics, military allocation, and public perception. The attack serves as a reminder that the conflict is not limited to frontline fighting. It extends deep into occupied and controlled territory, affecting both military and civilian systems. Humanitarian considerations also come into play. While the bridge primarily serves as a supply route for military operations, it also carries civilian traffic and essential goods. Any disruption can affect the daily lives of people in Crimea, including access to food, fuel, and medical supplies. This adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Ukraine's strike achieves strategic objectives while raising questions about civilian impact and infrastructure resilience. Looking ahead, several scenarios are possible. Russia may attempt to repair and reinforce the bridge, divert supplies to alternate routes, or increase security measures to prevent future attacks. Ukraine may conduct follow-up operations targeting similar infrastructure to compound the logistical challenges faced by Russia. The continued contest over the Kerch Bridge may also influence broader operational planning on both sides, shaping troop movements, supply allocation, and timing of future offensives. The attack also underscores the importance of asymmetric warfare. Ukraine is leveraging precision, intelligence, and strategic planning to challenge a larger and better-equipped adversary. By targeting critical infrastructure, Ukraine can disrupt operations and gain advantages disproportionate to the size of the attack itself. This approach demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of modern conflict dynamics, where control of information, logistics, and key infrastructure can be as decisive as control of territory. Another aspect to consider is the psychological impact. High-profile attacks on symbolic infrastructure send a powerful message to both domestic and international audiences. For Ukraine, it demonstrates capability and resolve. For Russia, it highlights vulnerability and the constant threat to supply lines and critical assets. The strike reinforces the idea that no infrastructure is invulnerable and that strategic targets can be challenged with careful planning and execution. The international community is also paying attention. Observers and analysts are considering what this strike means for regional stability, escalation risks, and the broader conflict. The attack could influence diplomatic negotiations, military support decisions, and strategic assessments by NATO, the EU, and other stakeholders. It highlights the complexity of modern warfare, where tactical actions on the ground have far-reaching strategic and political implications. From a military analysis perspective, the attack provides insight into Ukraine's operational capabilities. It demonstrates the ability to conduct intelligence-driven precision operations that target high-value infrastructure. It also shows a willingness to challenge key Russian supply lines, which could influence future planning and resource allocation on both sides. Russia, in turn, will need to adapt, invest in redundancy, and reconsider how it protects critical assets. In addition to tactical and strategic effects, the attack has symbolic significance. The Kerch Bridge is not just a supply route, it is a physical manifestation of Russia's claim over Crimea. By striking it, Ukraine challenges not only the physical connection, but also the narrative of permanent Russian control. This symbolic impact can influence morale, domestic perception, and international narratives about the conflict. The attack also raises questions about escalation and risk management. Strikes on major infrastructure carry potential consequences beyond immediate military effects. Russia may respond with counterattacks, increased security measures, or political messaging aimed at deterrence. Ukraine must balance the benefits of such operations with potential risks, including retaliation, civilian impact, and international perception. In terms of logistics, the bridge's disruption has immediate operational consequences. Supplies may be delayed, troop movements slowed, and alternative routes used. These changes can ripple through the entire theater of operations, affecting the tempo of offensives, defensive preparations, and overall strategic planning. Even temporary disruption can be significant in a conflict where timing and coordination are critical. The attack also highlights the importance of intelligence and planning. Planting explosives underwater over several months requires careful reconnaissance, coordination, and operational security. It demonstrates Ukraine's ability to gather actionable intelligence, plan complex operations, and execute them with precision. This capability is likely to influence future operations and Russia's approach to defending key infrastructure. From a broader perspective, the strike underscores the evolving nature of modern warfare. control of infrastructure, logistics, and supply lines is increasingly critical. Precision attacks on key nodes can have disproportionate effects, disrupting operations, creating uncertainty, and influencing strategic decisions. The Kerch Bridge attack is a clear example of this dynamic, showing that warfare is not limited to frontline battles, but extends deep into the operational and strategic networks of the adversary. Looking forward, it will be important to monitor how Russia responds. Will they repair and reinforce the bridge quickly? Will they divert supplies through alternative routes? Will they increase security measures and invest in redundancy? Each of these responses will have implications for the conflict and for Ukraine's future operational planning. Similarly, Ukraine's next steps will be critical. Follow-up attacks, continued targeting of infrastructure, and information operations could compound the impact of the initial strike. The ability to sustain pressure on key logistical and symbolic targets could influence the overall trajectory of the conflict. In conclusion, the explosive attack on the Kerch Bridge is a significant event in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It demonstrates Ukraine's capability, challenges Russian logistics, and has both tactical and symbolic implications. It highlights the importance of infrastructure, logistics, and planning in modern warfare, and underscores the evolving nature of this conflict. Thanks for joining today. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments about how you think this attack will shape the next phase of the conflict. Stay informed and stay safe.